Today we're turning glitter, resin, and little wooden dowels into the most ridiculously cute Candycore earrings you've ever laid eyes on. We're talking lollipop glam with a sprinkle of sparkle sorcery. Because honestly, who wouldn't want to wear little sugar galaxies on their ears? I kicked things off by mixing a few glitters together. Mostly hollow, lots of color shift, all maximum shimmer. The goal was to get that glitter evenly dispersed throughout each bead instead of it all just like sinking to the bottom like a little sad face. At least that's the face I make whenever it happens. So then I got a little weird with it, but in the best way. I flipped my bead mold inside out and used my finger to press glitter along the outside of each well so that the glitter would sit more like sprinkles on the edge. Once I turned it right side in again, I added just a touch of resin. I like to count to 3 for each pour to keep it consistent. I swirled the resin around the walls of each well to make a little glitter shell before giving it a quick cure, about 30 to 45 seconds. Then I added more resin, more of the glitter mix, and swirled it again. And I rinsed and repeated this same process until the molds were filled all the way to the top. It's kind of a little bit like building a glitter parfait, but make it wearable. I cured the beads from every angle, about a minute per side, because this mold is chunky and holds a lot of resin. And that means that it gets very, very hot. So just a heads up, let it cool completely before you start handling it. That'll also prevent your beads from feeling sticky or tacky. Once it was safe to touch, I popped each bead out. Sometimes if you overfill this mold, you might get like a little resin film across the top hole. I tried to avoid that, but I still ended up with a little bit. So I took my hobby knife, poked it through that top, and then spun it gently just to kind of reopen that hole to make sure that that it was going to work the way I wanted it to. Now for the lollipop stick, I found these little wooden reeds in the candle section at Michael's. They were actually on clearance for about $1, and they had lollipop written all over them. I mean, they were really long, almost like a chopstick, but I trimmed them down to roughly about the same length of my bead. And then I flipped my mold upside down and used the wells to hold each bead upright with the imperfect side of the bead facing upward. I then made a small resin puddle and dipped the end of each of the sticks and pressed them onto the bead. I held that steady in place and gave it a quick cure, and boom, lollipop secured. It's amazing how quickly I think something went from just a bead to a lollipop. Next up, I was figuring out how to try to turn these sweet lollies into earrings. So I grabbed some 20 gauge copper wire with a metallic purple finish because obviously I cut 2 pieces and I coated the ends with resin before sliding them through the top hole of each bead. I left about 1/4 of an inch or so poking out of the top so that I could then curl that into a loop later. I made sure it was nice and cured and added a little extra resin where needed. Then I grabbed my round nose pliers and I curled the wire backward into a bail. Now, you could add more beads or charms to make these extra dramatic, but I didn't really want them to get too heavy. I wanted to wear them to work and I wanted to be able to wear them all day. So instead, I just finished them off with a pair of sleek black stainless steel earring hooks and I called it done. They're so cool, like galactic candy that flew straight from space and landed right on your earlobes. Sparkly little lollipops ready to party on your ears. So if you're feeling this candy core moment, make sure you smash the like button, sprinkle a little sweetness in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more glitter fueled chaos and over the top DIY magic. So go make something awesome this week. And as always, If you're still in the mood for a snack, check out how I made these pizza slice earrings. Click here now.